like to welcome you all to the city of Skallengaurd. It is known as the city at the center of the world. It is not actually at the center of the world. It's named that.
It's the center of our world, though.
Yes, it is. This festival is known as the Festival of Lost Heroes in remembrance of those heroes that were killed in the calamity. Have any of you been to the festival before? You live in the city, so I think you have been it. Have you actually gone to the festival?
I feel like I've probably gone a couple times.
Okay. Thok, this is going to be your first time. Thok, you are up in your tribe settlements. You are sitting outside of your hut. It is early morning. You are sitting on a chair outside your hut, contemplating something. What are you thinking about?
I'm a bit bored of being around here. I want to go see the world.
Okay. As you are thinking about that, you see this large orc who is in what appears to be ceremonial armor. It's leather armor, but it's got some plates on it that have engravings on it. He is large even for an orc.
Oh.
He has a thick beard. He's missing a hand. Instead, there's a large hook there for his left hand. And he comes up to you and says, "Thok!" You know that this is the chieftain, Kolgorth. He comes up to you. "Thok, I am about to set off to Skallengaurd to participate in the festival. I am hoping that you would come with us as we travel to Skallengaurd."
I will join you.
Very well. I hope you pack light because we are leaving soon. Say your goodbyes and meet us at the edge of camp.
Can I bring Tor?
If you would like.
Okay.
A very polite orc.
I am quite polite, yes. Alright.
He walks away. What do you do?
So I guess I don't really have too much stuff on me to begin with, right?
So you're gonna go into your hut and gather your stuff? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I don't have to remove anything from my inventory, do I?
No.
Okay, and then I'm gonna grab Tor and make him carry my shit.
you're gonna make him carry your shit.
Yeah.
Do you often make him?
Well, I'll have him carry some of my shit.
But do you often make him carry your stuff around?
No.
No, it's just you're traveling and okay.
I guess so.
So Thok, he's not excited to go to the festival. He doesn't. He doesn't want to leave, but he's willing to go with you.
Mm-hmm.
He is making a general fuss about it.
Oh, okay.
He's really not wanting to go.
Really not wanting to go?
But he will if you really want him to.
Oh, okay. Tor, it's okay. You can stay here.
Thank you. I've never been to the city before.
It's expected. Weekly.
So you're gonna leave Tor here, or Tor here. Where do you go now? You go to the...
I guess the edge of camp.
Edge of camp? Okay,
yeah,
you meet up with Kolgorth and a large band of orcs and half-orcs and a few of the humans. Not many of the humans, but mostly the orcs and half-orcs. Kolgorth stands up from where he was sitting next to the packs. He makes a motion with his right hand, and the packs are thrown onto these horses and...
Camels.
Yes, a few camels that your tribe owns. They're all the stuff is thrown on there. And then, as you take your last glances back at the encampment, you see Tor actually standing at the edge of the camp.
I'll give him one of these.
He raises his hand back and
A nod.
Okay, and you have now been traveling about a week now. You have been conversing with the
Long ways away.
the other people that are going with you. They have told you that the Harvest Festival is great, is what they're telling you. They throw parties, and there's lots of food and drinking like you've never seen before, and there's massive amount of just random exotic crap that you've never seen. They mentioned that there's a weird tradition where everyone dons a mask at night. So they're telling you that you're going to probably need to buy one at some point during the festival.
Okay. We can do that.
And you have, after a week, Kolgorth has recounted the story of how he lost his arm and how he got so covered in scars and whatnot. And the story is that he used to go to the festival with his father, the old chieftain, when he was young. And when his father died, he stopped going to the festival. And when he stopped doing that, the tribe was attacked by ghouls, and one of them bit off his hand and scarred him to hell.
Oof.
You continue on with your travel, and you about 2 weeks after that, you reach the town of Hollow Crossing, which is this town right before Skallengaurd.
Oh, okay.
You've passed through these killed areas, past the plains where your people have hunted constantly, and as you're passing through, the people are generally, they stay out of your way. They know you guys are just passing through. You're not gonna do anything. It takes you about 10 minutes to pass through the town. You see stone buildings and just architecture you've never seen before. You pass through without much going on. Your party passes in silence. Then you travel through for another week along a road. You haven't done that since you left the tribe. And it takes you about another week to reach Skallengaurd. You reach the back gates where there is a crowd of people, but not as many as you thought there was going to be. You enter the city with your group, and
I feel a little uneasy at the amount of people.
Okay.
Right.
Do you mention that to any of the other orcs, Kolgorth or anyone?
I'll keep it to myself.
Okay. You are led to these tented areas that are just outside of the city gates and near the back gate. And Kolgorth tells everyone to set up your tents, and the tents are set up in pretty much no time flat because everyone's helping with it. And then Kolgorth says that the opening ceremonies will be tonight. Everyone's expected to be there. Until then, you're free to wander the city as you like.
All right. I don't know if it would be my place to just wander alone. Is there anyone else that would like to come with me?
You have made a couple of friends with some of the other tribesmen that they've agreed to go with you.
All right.
Most of the tribe are staying at the tents, but if they'll go with you into the city.
Alrighty. I guess I will start wandering then.
Okay. As you enter the city, you see even more people than were at the gate. There's just a lake of people. You're having trouble squeezing by some people because of how large you guys generally are. You wander for quite a bit, and you finally make it to this area that seems to be decorated for the festival. There's banners and whatnot, and there's stalls set up everywhere in this large city like square. It's large enough to be a park, really. There's a stage in the center, and then there's just vendors just everywhere. On your right, since you came in from the back gate, there is a large building, a quite large building that is completely wooden. It's got a lot of people going in and out. There is a sign on it. It's hanging from it. It says the Griffin's Roost, and then above that on the roof is a large statue of a griffin.
That's cool.
And then there, on the other side of the park that you can't quite see as well, you can see that there's a smaller stage that's not as big as the one in the center.
All right, so I'm going to inquire to my fellow tribesmen what they think that building's for.
Okay, so you turn to one and he says, that is where we get booze.
All right, I'm excited for that.
And he, bursts off running towards it.
Oh, I guess I follow suit.
Okay, I'm actually going to switch to Nick now.
Okay.
Because he's the next furthest out. You are sitting on a log in the forest.
Okay.
What are you doing on this log in the forest? Are you thinking about something specific?
Is there a pond nearby?
Yeah, we'll say there's a pond nearby.
I'm transforming tadpoles into frogs.
Okay.
That's cool.
As you do this, you're at this for a little while, and then you start to hear a thump, as a familiar thump that is coming through the forest, and you finally see a large bear who is about twice the size of you when she's on all fours. She's large, she's brown, and as she walks, her fur kind of shimmers. It shimmers gold all across her as she walks, even in the darkest of shadows. And she walks up to you and doesn't say anything. She seems like there's something on her mind.
I make the body gestures and appropriate grunts to ask her what's wrong.
Want to demonstrate some of those grunts?
What?
She replies to you in the subtle motions that you know her for, that confer the message that she is sort of concerned for you. Sort of that you haven't had much interaction with those of your kind.
I explained to her that there are no more of my kind. I've been through this entire forest. The only thing I've seen is the gobos.
She says to you, "No, child. No. There's much more of your kind. They are actually gathering right now, just outside of the forest."
Chobi.
She turns around and starts wandering towards the edge of the forest. You're not that far away. It takes you maybe an hour.
Alright.
And you get to the edge and you see these large structures that you have glimpsed at a distance before, but never really seen up close.
Mountains.
They look like very small wooden mountains.
Or big trees?
No,
Small mountains or big trees?
those, my child.
I ask her if they live in the small mountains or big trees.
She says to you, "Those, my child, are called houses. It is indeed where they live. It's where they spend their time, where we spend our time in the forest."
Like the monkeys.
Yes, like the monkeys.
It's gotta be super complicated, like communication between the bear and her daughter.
Well, while you are like making grunts and gestures to her, She sort of barely doesn't make any motion. She's very subtle about it. You barely would even notice if you weren't trying to communicate with her.
Okay.
She says, "I want you to go in there and look around, and then later you come back to me and tell me how you felt about what you saw."
I reluctantly obey.
Okay. So you exit the forest, the tree line. You see stumps from where many trees have been cut down.
Yeah, about that.
Your wife actually works for a lumber mill.
Oh.
She's just one of the lumberjacks. She's not the only lumberjack.
Your wife is out there chopping down trees.
She's just gonna chop down the entire forest by herself. No, she works as a group with people, but she is one of the people that actually cuts down the trees.
Okay.
So you see stumps everywhere, right in front of the houses.
I get very angry. Is there anyone nearby?
There is a large gentleman, a sort of elderly gentleman. He's sitting on one of those trunks and watching other people as they seem to be they seem to be gathered around other trees.
I tackle him.
So he attempts to push you off, and he struggles with you for a bit, and he says, "Get off of me! What are you doing?"
I just go and clack my teeth at him.
What?
You killed my trees.
You killed your trees? What do you mean you killed your trees?
I gesture at all the stumps.
They were your trees.
My trees.
I wasn't told they were owned by anyone. I was told to cut them down.
I punch him.
Ow! No! You quit your violence! No, if you're worried about the trees, we've been planting more over on the other edge of the forest.
Cho.
He leads you around past where they are currently gathered around the trees, where they are cutting down the trees. But you can see that they have a metallic object that is touching the tree. But there is a lot of them gathered and around this group of trees. Do you do anything to them, or do you continue following him?
I'm going to continue following him for now.
Okay. So he leads you further down the tree line and past where the houses stop. Then there's just a field in front of this hilly area, and there's a grassy field, and there's small saplings just planted everywhere.
I start using my druid craft to grow them up to full grown. As many as I can get done.
So I would say you're looking at this area right about here. Mm-hmm. So about right here is now pretty much fully grown forest, but there's still more back there.
Okay.
You can now see this great stone wall. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a wall before, but you see this great stone the great stone area that is past the houses that the houses were obscuring earlier.
A mountain. A small mountain.
You see this small mountain, and it is very flat from what you've seen of other mountains.
I go and inspect it.
Okay, you go and inspect it. You see that it is individually pieced by separate large pieces of stone, and that it continues for quite a ways down.
I'll follow it.
Do you follow it towards the houses or past where it's...
Which way has more trees?
The houses are closer to the trees.
Towards the houses?
Okay, so... you are... I imagine you're like running your hand across the stone as you're just walking past all these houses. People are looking at you really strangely. People are looking at you. Things are weird. You've never seen so much of things that look like you in your life.
I don't like it. I am very uncomfortable and flee towards the forest, but then I remember what my mother said and reluctantly travel to where the most humans are.
Okay, so you sort of shoot off through the
I
houses
sprint off and then
towards the
back.
forest, and then you come back to the wall, and you see that a lot of these humans are heading around this area where you can't quite see.
I'll follow them.
Okay, you get to a clearing. There's field, and then there's a path, a really large path that just a bunch of things are on that look like you. There's just so many, and they're all funneling their way towards these large wooden
Big leafless
mountains.
trees.
Yeah, big leafless trees. They are the trees are parallel to where the path should be going through this mountain.
I just sit and stare at it for like an hour.
Okay. You are actually the closest one. I was gonna do him first, but if you wanna go, I'll do you next.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So you are sitting in the classroom. It is a pretty empty classroom. That you're sitting at a long table. You're sitting at the end of it. There is bookcases along pretty much all of the walls.
Yes. Studying.
You have your funeral rite textbook out, and you're flipping through it, studying. And your teacher is sitting on the other end of this long table. She's sitting on the table. She is a half elf. She has black hair. She is wearing a red tunic that every once in a while an arcane glyph like appears on it and then fades away in random spots around it. Her spellbook is hanging from her belt with its chain, but it is levitated slightly so that the chain is slack.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has her component pouch on the other side. And she reaches into her tunic and pulls out her flask, and she takes a long drink of it. And then she kind of puts it in the air and it starts spinning slowly. And then she looks to you and says, I really don't know why you want to become a funeral marcher. It seems kind of grim to me.
Well, I find pleasure with the dead. It is rather intriguing.
I don't know. I still find it way more interesting just blasting a fireball at things and a small flame just shoots towards you and then starts orbiting your head and then disappears.
Maybe one day, Professor.
She goes back to just sitting there for a while you're flipping through your textbook. She then, just flops herself onto the table. Oh, I'm so bored! I wish that Brulin would just get here now. As soon as Brulin gets here, we're out of here. I've got messengers ready to tell me whenever he gets here.
Are you ready for the festival, Professor?
Damn right I am.
Why not us leave early?
Like I said, Brulin's not here yet.
He can follow after us.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't know. You've never been before. Of course. You sit there in silence. She's just flopped out on the table. And then a knock comes at the door. A quick like that. And then the door opens. Then an elf, blonde elf, just fairly pretty. She walks in. She waves to Lita and finally gets her attention after a second or two, and then Lita kind of springs up off of the table, and the elf says, "Berlin finally came. He's finally at the tavern." And then Lita looks to you. "Well, are you coming?"
Yes. And I follow after them.
As you're following her, you kind of sort of drift into your own thoughts. You start thinking about some of the rumors you've heard about her. And you know that the one rumor that you know is true about her is that she is definitely a drunk.
My professor?
Yes.
Okay.
She definitely drinks heavily constantly. What are some of the other rumors that these students have told you about her? It could be anything.
She steals from the school.
Okay. Is there anything else?
She eats rats.
Okay. Well, you definitely can't confirm any of those. You've never seen her eat rats. You've never seen her steal anything. Walk down the hallways of your school, and students and faculty are passing by quickly. Mm-hmm. And you notice off in the distance the other student that is attending that you have a crush on. What do they look like?
What the fuck? Do I choose their race? Or what are they?
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna be an elf.
Okay.
Blonde hair.
Any other significant features?
It's braided.
Braided.
What? Oh my God.
She's saying, give her a handful of ass.
I see.
That's not necessarily what I was saying, but if you would like to say she has
That's what
a
he
hand-
was saying.
Saying she's
Tight
thick.
ass and don't get fired. But that's basically it.
That's basically it.
Mhm.
Do you know her name?
No.
No, you don't. You've been too shy to actually approach her or ask any of the other students about her.
Correct.
Okay.
Just like real life.
That's right.
So you see her and you realize that Lita, your teacher, she is sort of headed straight towards her. Do you do anything?
Lita, hook me up. That's what I say to Lita.
She looks back at you quickly. I'm about to do that. That's why we're headed to the tavern.
Okay. On we go then.
And she quickly rushes past this other student that you have a crush on. Do you quickly follow after her? Like you're nervous and just kind
Yes,
of...
that is what I do.
Okay. You finally exit the main building of the school, and you are out in the courtyard. There is a fountain that changes colors every once in a while. It sprays off in random directions and doesn't seem to actually gather anywhere. The water just kind of shoots off and then disappears.
Okay.
There are columns along each of the sides of the path of the courtyard, and they've got these weird like morphing objects just hanging right above them.
I want to touch one.
You cannot reach them. They are way too high up.
Okay.
You continue down and past the fountain and down the courtyard. You get to a part of the city where the school boundary ends. Get up. And there's a like Main Street sort of right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's smaller than the bigger main street in the main part of the city, but you know that this street will lead you to there.
Okay.
There are businesses across the street. They're just general mom and pop sort of deal.
Okay.
They still seem to be open, even though everyone has been preparing for the festival, though no one seems to be actually going in them. Past the houses there, there is a somewhat sort of a barrier. It's not really a barrier, but you can tell that there is a difference between the buildings on this side and that side. And past these houses is a place called the Rat Hollow, where you know all the very poor people and all of the tieflings live.
I don't belong there.
Lexi!
What is she doing?
She's trying to sit on me.
Sit down.
So you get to this road and then you turn left and you head towards the new, what is called the new city. You are currently in the old city.
Mm-hmm.
And you head there and you can, as you continue further on, you see more and more people just walking about and having a good old time. There are a few vendors along the street, not many, but every once in a while there's a vendor selling something.
Anything interesting?
Generally most of them have masks for sale.
Okay.
Just all sorts of masks. It depends on which vendor you go to.
Do I spy a dragonborn one?
You do not see one that looks like a dragon. No.
Not one that would fit my face?
You could, if you looked, you could find one that would fit your face, but there's not one that looks like a dragon.
Okay.
So you continue on following Lita. She is continually picking up pace. She is almost at a full run at this point.
Okay.
She might be if all the people would stop getting in her way, as she keeps reminding them. You finally get to the town square, where there is a stage off to your right. A small stage off to your right. There's vendors everywhere, and then there's the big main stage in the center of the park, the town square. Across the park, you can see a large building, larger than any of the other buildings around here. It's about the size of 4 houses put together.
Okay.
On it, it's got a sign that says the Griffin's Roost, and on top of it, it's got a large griffin statue.
Griffin? Okay.
And Lita, she just kind of pushes her way through the crowd, just straight for the tavern, towards the Griffin's Roost.
I follow behind her as aggressively.
Okay. You find yourself having a little bit more trouble than she does. She seems to be kind of
She's determined.
used to this sort of deal. She finally gets to the door and you follow shortly behind her, and she pushes open the doors and she waves to a dwarf at the counter. He's got a large red beard. It's about down to the floor. It's braided in 5 different sections, one main, and then there's 2 on the sides, and then his mustache kind of
Okay.
comes down in one. He's got another braid that is his hair that just kind of falls to the side over here, and then he's got a mohawk.
Okay.
She waves to him, and he raises up the 2 mugs that he was about to hand the customers at the counter, and he says, "Lita, it's good to see ya. I've got a keg with your name on it, lass."
What a cool guy.
And she says, "Good, pour me 2 mugs. Never mind 3 mugs, the kid's gonna need one." And then she pushes her way through the crowd that has gathered in the tavern, seeing that it's the main tavern of the city. And she pushes her way to an empty table somehow, and sits right on the table.
Right on the table.
Yes. She kind of props herself. She puts her feet on one of the chairs and sits on the table. What do you do?
I'm not entirely sure.
Do you sit at the table with her?
I sit on the table.
You
with
sit
her.
on the table?
Yeah.
Okay. She sits in silence for quite a while. Do you say anything to her?
What will you be serving me today?
I've got it's Brulin's specialty, the Knight's Regret. And she goes on to describe it as a powerful brew. That's pretty much all she says about it. She says that it's brown, it's a powerful brew, and Brulin the dwarf, who she waved to before, has usually he brings her a special keg just for her every year at the festival. And finally this dwarf woman shows up holding the 3 mugs. She plops the 2 in front of Lita and the 1 in front of you. It is a thick brown drink. And she just begins to drink it.
I smell it. I sniff it.
As you sniff it, it burns. It burns.
And I'm a dragon.
It burns your nostrils. It reminds you of actually when you first started being able to use your breath weapon, is how bad it sort of smells.
I take a sip of it.
I'm gonna need you to roll a Constitution
Oh my
save.
gosh. 4.
You pass out. You take 1 small sip and you pass out. And now it is Nadar. It is early morning. You are sitting at the table with your family, your daughter and your wife. You are eating breakfast. Your wife seems to have a unusual look on her face.
Honey, what's wrong?
Well, I've been thinking that maybe it's time that we finally take Corin to the closing ritual. You know that the closing ritual of the festival is a sacrifice that they do every year.
Okay.
I think she's finally old enough to actually see it. She needs to know what's going on.
Well, she is almost of age. I agree with her.
Okay. She is very pleased to know that you agree with her. She was kind of worried that you were going to turn her down again.
Again.
Yes. What do you do from here? You have finished breakfast.
Yeah, we finished breakfast. I think I am going to go out hunting because I think we're low on. I would probably go out hunting for lunch or something, like just to get things prepared.
Okay.
For later in the day.
So you head out into a forest and you see a human girl that seems very, very odd. She seems to be running her hands across the wall.
Have I seen this person before?
You have dubbed her Ray.
Ray.
You've seen her in the forest wandering around before. You've never seen her in the town area that is separate from the city.
Hard to see her this far out.
Do you continue on to the forest?
I think I would try calling out, "Hey, Ray! Ray!"
She doesn't hear you. She seems to be following everyone else that is headed towards the gate.
Well. Yeah, I guess I'll head out to the forest, I guess.
Okay.
Since I'm not paying attention.
Okay, so you are out there for about a half an hour. You do not do so well. You haven't quite seen very much. You've seen a couple small lizards and frogs. there are quite a few frogs around this one pond that you passed. Like unusual amount of frogs for this time of year.
Okay.
Do you continue on?
I'd probably continue on for a little bit.
Okay. You are out there for about another 10 minutes, I'd say, and you spot a deer. Do you shoot it?
Hell yeah.
Roll an attack.
Okay. I gotta pull up my attack again because I don't have it written down.
You hit it. It's not that hard to hit. It's got.
It's a +4. That's
Yeah,
a
you hit
16.
it. You definitely hit it. You have a bow, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got a longbow.
So you definitely hit it. It falls down silently. It makes no noise. It like drops dead instantly as soon as the arrow hits it.
Perfect.
You've kind of hit it right in the head. Somehow you manage to pierce through the skull. As you approach it, you see another deer.
Kill that bitch.
I'd probably.
It doesn't seem to have noticed you. It's just kind of standing there.
Yeah, I'd probably try and shoot that one as well.
Okay, roll an attack.
Yeah. That's even better.
You actually managed to put an arrow right in the eye of this one.
Yep.
It kind of whines as it falls over a little bit.
Okay.
And you have shot 2 deer.
Oh, I'm gonna take them back home.
Okay, you process
Yes.
them. You got them and whatnot.
Cool.
You process them. You got them and whatnot, and then you. What is your strength?
My strength is 12.
You are gonna have to take these one at a time.
Okay.
You can carry them back on like a sort of backpack sort of thing situation, and you carry them back. You drop one at your house and go back to find the other one, and it has been surrounded by goblins.
Oh.
Fucking gobos.
Fucking combos. I would probably attempt to scare them off.
What do you do to scare them off?
I'm going to rush in there with both of my short swords drawn and just run in charging. Ah!
They look up the second that you unsheath your swords, and you start running at them, and you yell, and then they scatter. At the moment of your scream, you have seen that they have picked this one like half clean somehow.
Jeez.
They were very proficient at getting the meat off of it. You only have from the rib cage back.
Freaking gobos.
All the good meat's there anyways.
I'll take the rest with me just to, salvage as much as I possibly can.
Okay. I'm assuming that you like cut off, like separate the other half.
Yeah.
Okay. So you take that other half back to your house, and your wife has been salting this one half.
Okay.
And she looks up to you and says, "Well, as soon as I'm done with that one, we can head off to the festival." What do you do?
Sounds like a plan. Do we need to make any other preparations?
Not that I'm aware of. You've got your coin purse, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, so she gets busy salting the other one. It takes her 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then she washes off her hands in this basin, which I'm assuming you did at one point.
Oh yeah.
Your daughter has put on a very nice dress. Your wife has put on a very similar one.
Mm-hmm.
They are green and blue. They are their best dresses. Your daughter's in the green one, your wife is in the blue one, and they are waiting for you.
Okay. I go. I assume I'm dressed up in my formal attire or whatever, or the most formal attire I can be in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say you have an outfit that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Your outfit is not much different from your normal garb. You have thrown on a jacket that you weren't wearing before, and you have changed your pants to a
That's good.
less dirt-covered pair.
Good.
And your boots have been shined. Your wife or daughter, I would say, your daughter has shined your boots for you
Okay.
in preparation for this day. And
Good girl.
then you are all ready to head off.
Yep. We're gonna head off.
Okay, you head off to the main gate because that is the closest to your house. You see that girl standing there, just staring at all the people. What do you
Hey, hey, it's Ray. Hey, Ray.
do? Your wife kind of grabs your arm. Are you sure you actually want to talk to that filthy creature?
I feel like I wanted. I feel like I do. Yes.
Do I hear him?
Roll a perception.
Nat
You
20.
absolutely hear something above the crowd that you were hearing.
I would like to startle and be very jumpy about hearing my name.
Okay. She jumps when you yell at her. She, do you, what do you do?
Do I recognize him? Are you blue?
I have blue.
You have glimpsed him before. You've seen a blue figure in
I
the
would
forest.
like to refer to him as Blue Man. I think.
Okay.
This is
Are there
my group.
any like halflings or gnomes nearby or small children?
There are a lot of small children. There is a few halflings and there.
I pick up the closest one
You pick up a human child.
and I point to her. Blue Man, look, like me.
What do you do?
Kind of question her. But I say, what brings you way out here?
I look at him confused and say, like me.
You seem to be having some sort of communication issue. She doesn't quite understand what you're trying to say.
I turn to my wife and say, come along.
Do you rush past her?
Yes.
I take that as he was talking to me and follow.
Okay. You have entered the crowd. Roll me a perception.
Okay. Ooh, that's bad. That's 7 total.
You don't notice anything out of the ordinary.
Okay.
You definitely don't. You don't notice that there's a human following you.
There's no way I'm going through a crowd smoothly.
Yeah, I rolled like a 4. So.
You seem distracted by all the vendors that have just lined themselves up this main street. There's crowds just... It's somewhat organized. There is definitely a group going that way and one coming this way, sort of. There's no one actually leaving the city this way.
Is a child I'm holding freaking out or anything?
Are you still holding the child? You didn't put him down?
No.
The mother of that child has noticed that you are holding her. Holding her, yeah. That you picked up a girl. She is motioning to a. I'm not sure if you could tell. He's a male. I'm not sure if you actually know the difference.
Maybe.
You can see that he is a much larger. He's got hair on his face. He walks over to you as quickly as he can through the crowd, and he grabs the child.
I let go.
The child at this point has started crying. She is now clutching onto her father for her life, and then he walks off.
And I don't notice any of this.
Roll me another perception.
Oh, that's better. That's a 19.
You notice that a child has started crying behind you. Do you look back?
Yeah, I'm gonna look back.
You see Ray behind you. Your daughter seems very concerned that she is following you now.
I try to lose her in the crowd, and I try to lose Ray in the crowd, kind of leaving my wife and daughter.
Roll me a stealth check.
Okay. That's 7.
I'm not even gonna make you roll because
Yeah.
he had some minuses for trying to lead his family also.
Okay.
So you don't manage to lose her. You can
Cool.
You can see that she is still following you. You are about halfway down the main road of the city.
Alright.
I'm trying to catch up to him.
Roll me a dexterity check.
12.
You seem to be able to pick up your pace slightly.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys do anything else? Do you continue in this manner?
I guess
Yeah.
so. I think I'm being super sneaky with with leading them away. I think we lost her.
You have been sort of pushing your family to different vendors that have like these awnings above them that have been surrounded by crowds, but you have not managed to actually accomplish anything.
Okay.
Roll me perception.
10.
You have actually lost them now.
What's around me?
You are in a sea of beings like you. They all look different. Some of them have pointed ears. Some of them are very short. Some of them are very hairy, and they look a bit wider than most.
I touch all of them.
You
Just
go,
feeling faces and things.
as you go around touching people, people start just kind of being perturbed at you. They push your hands off of them and kind of, what are you doing? Get off of me!
Whenever they do that, I'll just look at them confused.
Roll me a charisma.
6.
That just seems to piss them off more. So they are, after you do that, they bump into you as they walk past you. You seem to have made quite a lot of people around this area mad. You can tell that they are angry at you. A lot of them are still staring at you.
Are there any animals nearby?
You see a small dog that is on a counter thing in front of one of these vendor tent things.
I go up to it and try and figure out what we're supposed to do.
You're trying to talk to the dog.
I'm trying to communicate to it best I can.
Roll me a handle animal. Are you
Oh yeah. So that is 21.
It gets very excited when you try to talk to it. It just starts kind of wagging its tail, and it started jumping up and down. It is kind of attached to a post, a small tree that is
Small tree.
a small tree that is attached to this flat log that is across this fabric, this purple hide that is sort of flowing down.
It's stuck.
It has a rope around its neck, and the rope goes to the small tree.
If I take that off its neck.
You take it off, and it sits down, and then sort of looks from you to to the person that is behind this pile of wood, and it doesn't quite know what to do. It then kind of motions its head to the various faces that are all over this.
I like masks, and now I'm scared. Disembodied faces.
You are. I would say you are very concerned about what is going on. There is a smaller humanoid that is behind the counter that has one of these faces attached to it. It sort of reminds you of your hat
I pull my hat down a little. So now I'm looking through the wolf's eyes.
Guess you already have a mask then. The woman that is behind the counter, she notices you after a minute or so, and she sees you pull down your mask, and she says to you, if you're not gonna buy anything, shoo, I've got other customers.
Buy?
Yes, buy, we're selling these.
Sell?
Roll me a charisma.
17.
She is concerned that you don't know what these words are about, but she's acting friendly to you now. She's not like angry or anything. She says to you, where are your parents? Are you lost?
I say, Mama Forest, bear.
Your mother was killed by a bear?
I shake my head. Mama Forest, bear.
I'm sorry. I'm very busy. I can't help you right now. I've got other customers.
I pick up the dog.
the small humanoid behind the counter realizes that the dog is off the rope, and she begins to kind of jump up and down, concerned that you are taking the dog.
Do I understand why?
What would I roll for that? What are the skills?
Insight?
Roll me an insight. I don't know if that's actually, but roll me an insight.
Natural 1.
No. You have no idea why she is doing this.
I start jumping up and down too.
She begins to yell at you. No, that's my Coco! Give it back! Give her back!
I hold out the dog.
she grabs the dog as quickly as she can, in a way as to not hurt the dog, but grasping it so that you can't take it back. And then she takes it from you and holds it close to her, and then eyes you through this mask that is very reptilian.
Like Blue Man?
Like Blue Man.
Like Blue Man. That reminds me, I'm looking for him. I will attempt to track.
What is track?
Survival.
Okay. You can try.
I imagine it's going to be very hard. 14.
You find something that you believe will lead you to him.
I follow.
Get lost in the crowd. You have seen several scaly blue men that have not been the one you were looking for. You can tell that they are different.
All right.
What are you doing?
I think I'd still be perusing the stalls with my family as we were making our way to
Okay. You've been getting slowly closer to the center of town, to the town square. You start to smell a lot of food being cooked. It is later in the day. It is sort of past lunch, not quite dinner. Mm-hmm. You can tell that the food vendors have kicked up, basically. Before that, it wasn't quite, they weren't doing much, not much business or moving around very much. You spot a vendor that is an orc. He has a very shoddy vendor tent thing. Mm-hmm. It's very crudely put together. He's got a small fire going with a pot, and he is trying to get people to try these very large insects that he is cooking up in this pot. You can hear it sizzling and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That is the closest food vendor to you. There is several mask vendors everywhere. They seem to constantly be selling something. Okay. The mask vendors. What do you do?
I turn to my wife and ask if she's getting hungry. You know, if we should stop to eat.
She says, I'm sort of getting hungry, but I want to see the square. I'm gonna get there before we decide on anything.
Sounds reasonable.
Your daughter has been asking you to buy her every single mask. She is not as interested in the cuter ones. She seems to be more of the grotesque, sort of mutated, twisted ones.
Okay.
She finds one. It is a pretty simple mask. It is on one side. It is sort of just a plain mask. It's got a human-looking face on it, and then it's on the other half. It's sort of twisted up into a weird smile that kind of spirals at the end. The eye seems to be kind of drooping and melting away, and then there's this weird antler type thing that also looks like it's sort of melting. It's got these the sort of drip looking things hanging off the antlers.
Okay.
She seems to be particularly fascinated by this one.
I ask her why.
He's pulling his dad moves.
She says, cause it's weird looking.
What about all those other weird looking ones that you pointed out to me?
But this one's cheaper. I could have sworn the guy said it was like a silver piece.
Is it cheaper?
It is the same price as everything else. Everything is seems to be costing a silver price. Every one of the masks seems to be a silver. There are more elaborate masks that you have seen that have been costing more, but they're not at any of the vendors that you have perused.
Okay. I kind of go along with it and be like, oh, well, if that's the case,
So,
I guess we have to.
Are you going to buy her this mask?
Sure.
Okay.
It's just a weird, creepy looking mask. What's to be concerned about it?
Your wife also picks up one. It's not nearly as like twisted or anything. It looks like a human face. It's got a really long pointed nose. It's got a like knot where on the nose where the tree had grown.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Just kind of a plain mask.
plain mask. It is painted green.
Okay.
She says, I kind of like this one.
I like it too.
You didn't have to erase another gold, or was that? Is that the
That's
silver?
my silver. That's
Okay.
my silver.
I couldn't remember which
Yeah.
way the treasure thing went.
Yeah, it's cheapest to expensive.
Okay. Would you like me to describe more masks? Possibly one that you would like?
Possibly.
There are several that look very bestial-like. There are some that look a little more humanoid. And there are a lot more that have these twisted features. There are a few that look like bunnies. And other sort of woodland creatures.
Is there kind of one that's like bestial but also like twisted?
There is it's a large sort of fanged mouth. It's got a short muzzle, and there are like random spikes just pointing out of like the forehead of this thing, like in random directions. It doesn't quite make much sense how the artist even got some of those on there.
Right.
They are fairly short spikes. There's another one that it sort of looks like a giraffe, a giraffe head face. It has tusks running down the side of the snout, and then the top portion right above the eyes just looks like it's on fire. There's
I'll pick those two up and turn to my daughter and be like, which one's the cooler one?
she points to the large fanged spiky one.
Okay. I'll decide on that. I'll get that one. I'll get
I'm
that one
really
for
glad I
myself.
didn't have to figure out how to buy things.
Actually, since you have Electrium,
Yeah. I'm sure I would have just given my whole pouch.
so you spent kind of a couple minutes at this vendor, and you feel a tap on your shoulder.
Ooh, is it me?
Oh boy.
You turn around and see this dirty girl that has a wolf pulled over her face.
Where go, Blue Man?
To the festival. Festival?
We are gonna need to teach you common at some point.
I point to where all the people are kind of filing towards, like, festival, go there.
I look at where he's pointing, and I look at him suspiciously and then start walking that way.
What are you gonna do?
I apologize to my wife. Didn't know what I was expecting when I tried talking to Ray, but I slowly meander also to the city center.
After you apologize to your wife, she kind of chuckles a little bit. She seems slightly amused by that, and then kind of elbows you in the side, and says, "I told you shouldn't have talked." And you continue on. You guys have finally reached the town square. On your there are vendors everywhere. There is smoke billowing up out of about half of them. You see the large stage that you know is placed there every year for the festival. It's a fairly simple wooden stage. It's got the back wall to it so that like no one falls off the back while they're standing on it. To your right, there's a smaller stage. There is a man standing on the stage with a table. As far as you can tell, he seems to be just waving to everyone. There's a small crowd gathered around him. A bit larger than most of the vendors, because it is a bigger area, and he seems to be drawing in more of them. To your left, there is the Griffin's Roost, the main tavern that everyone goes to. You know that Uther Halforge should be there, also known as Brulin.
Okay.
You also see all of this.
Okay.
Slightly before him. Where do you guys go?
I'd probably go figure out what that guy on the table was drawing people in for.
Do I see him coming behind me? Do I notice him?
Did you look behind you?
Occasionally.
You have seen him behind you. He has been walking in the same direction.
Well, if I see him turn off, I'm going back to see whatever he wanted to show me.
So you're following him or going back?
Well, if I was going the direction he pointed, but then I saw him go another direction, so I backtracked and went to see what.
Oh, so you're going back to where he was and then follow him?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys approach the stage. This man, he is standing there with a really large grin on his face. His face is painted white. He's got a black line across his eyes, and then there's two red lines coming down his cheeks. He is in a very strange garb. You as players would recognize it as a Victorian suit.
Okay.
And then he's got a top hat on. And he is saying to the crowd, "Ladies and gentlemen, come, I wish to show you wonders. Behold, the box." And he gestures to the table, on which is a somewhat small box. It's like that big. You can sort of barely see it from the back of the crowd. He continues on. This box, a magical box, it can only be opened in a way that has never been opened before. And I'm willing to let you open it for just 2 copper pieces. Does anyone wish to give it a go?
I walk up.
Before you can get to the stage, you see someone like darts their hand up. It is a red hand. You hear this voice say, "I'll give it a go," and then everyone turns to see who said that. And as they turn and see who it is, they part. The crowd parts to let this person through. You can hear whispers of people saying like, "Fiend spawn," and "Go back to the hells." There's one particularly rowdy man. He seems to be somewhat drunk. He throws a rock at her. This woman, she is a tiefling. She has red skin. She has horns that come up just straight up about a foot above her head. She's got very light blue hair. She's in a gown that it looks like it should belong to a noble, but it is ripped and patched and covered in dirt. And the jeers just continue as she passes this, and everyone makes a wide berth as she climbs her way to the stage. She hands the 2 copper pieces to a woman who is on the side of the stage, a strangely metallic woman. She is wearing leather armor, and she seems to kind of jerk as she moves. When the tiefling goes to hand her the copper, she kind of just juts her hand out and makes a sort of leaning pose, and then she puts the copper in her hand. There's another metallic woman on the other side of the stage, and they seem to be wearing these collars, and a like leather strap is attached to this spike that is embedded in the stage behind the table. You've managed to get a little bit closer to the stage, so you can actually see the box now. Both of you have. You can see that it is a very small wooden box. It has a hinge on one side. It's got a very distinct line where the lid should be. There is a small bar and a like long hole where the shaft should be able to just slide back and forth. It's got a latch right above the bar, the small bar that is jutting out of it, but it doesn't seem to be a latch that seems to be able to be moved. It seems to be like fused with the box. And this tiefling walks up and looks at the box for a minute, and this man, he goes, "Well, how will you do it? How will you open my box?" And she reaches out and grabs the bar and sort of shifts it to the other side of this hole that is in it, and immediately shifts it back. And she looks very confused about why she even moved it back. Then the man says, "Oh no! It's already been opened that way before. Too bad. If you got no more money, who else is next?" And he turns his face to the crowd with an even bigger grin.
I run on the stage.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you have the coin?
I hand him my pouch.
He handles the pouch for a minute. He looks inside and says, You can try 20 times. I think that would be right.
How much was it?
2 copper pieces? No, it'd be way more than that.
Yeah.
That's that's 200 times.
He takes out one of the electrium and he makes a motion with his hand. And it seems to have split it into more coins that look different. He has actually split it into copper pieces. Just copper pieces. As many as one electrum is worth. Which would be...
Which would be 5 silver, which would be 50 copper.
Yes, so...
Minus 2?
Yes, and he takes 2 of them out, and then puts the rest back in your pouch.
Okay.
And then kind of just throws the bag at you.
I grab it and put it back on my belt.
Well, how will you do it? How will you open the box?
I take a little seed out of my, just on my belt, and I jam it into the crack, and then I start casting druidcraft to make it sprout and grow.
You don't seem to be able to...
I can't jam it in anywhere?
No, you don't seem to have quite enough time by the time that you jam the seed in, the box opens.
Ooh.
He reaches in the box and lifts out this piece of paper and hands it to you and says, "Once the auction house is complete, feel free to visit." And then he leans in close to you and he inhales very deeply and then leans back, and you can see his eyes roll back to where they normally should be. And then he says, "Ah, poor child. And how is Miriani?"
I run.
Okay, so you've ran off the stage.
I just run.
The man then turns back to the crowd. "Well, we have a success. It will never open by having things jammed in it again. Would anyone else like to give it a go? Perhaps test the theory of jamming things in?"
What do I write down for that?
An invitation is what he handed you.
All right.
It says an invitation to Uncle Judas's vault.
How'd you like my performance, Jeff?
Pretty great. Pretty great. I don't think I can top that.
The man, another man, a very large, portly man. He walks up on the stage and hands one of the metallic women, who strikes another pose in a jerky fashion, and then just stands there with her hand out, and he puts the copper pieces in there, and he walks up and he reaches into his pocket and takes out a knife and attempts to jam the knife into the slot, and it snaps the knife.
Gosh. Wow.
The man gets so enraged by the fact that his knife has been snapped that he is like poking this man in the chest, this painted faced man. And the man seems to smile even bigger than he was moments before, and
Kind of disturbed by this.
he said, "I gave you the warning. You were supposed to try another way. If you wish to try again, perhaps some more copper can find its way into my pockets." The man gets even more enraged. He pokes this man even more violently, and at one point he draws back his hand and makes a fist, and he vanishes.
Okay. I'm going to say that's enough and leave you to
Where do you go from here?
I imagine I'm in an alleyway somewhere crying.
I somehow knew that you would be the one to climb onto that stage. Because I've been thinking about how he was going to mention Miriani since this morning.
Oh no.
I feel like after that I would need a drink, so I'm gonna head to the tavern.
Okay, you fight your way to the tavern. You enter through the crowded entryway. It is getting very packed in there. Mm-hmm. The dwarf at the counter, he says, Come in, come in! Glad to have you! What can I get for you? It's just yelling over everyone.
Pint of ale! I yell back.
Right! Coming right up! Anything else for you and your family?
Turn to them, ask what they want.
Your wife says that she is very hungry, and your daughter also agrees. Your wife says that she will also have an ale, and then I guess you guys try and find a seat.
Yeah, we try and find a seat.
Okay. There's people everywhere. There are people just climbing kind of on the tables. You see two specific ones. One of them seems to be a half-elf who is surrounded by like these empty containers that used to have you drink in them. And there's this copper dragonborn who seems to be passed out, just slumped, sitting on the table.
Bit too much for him, I'd say.
You also see a group of orcs who have started to get quite rowdy. They seem to be sort of stomping and sort of pounding their mugs on the table that they are sitting at.
As orcs do.
As orcs do. There is a couple of them are half orcs, you can tell. Mm-hmm. And then there's just various people just sitting at all of these tables. There's just tables everywhere. There is a staircase at the end of the bar. As you come in, the bar is pretty much right there. Mm-hmm. And it goes along this long wall, and then it stops, and there's the staircase, and it leads up to a balcony area that is cut off in such a way that you could see that the stage that is in the corner of this tavern. It is a somewhat decent stage for this building. It's not a grand stage. It is definitely not a small stage. Mm-hmm. You are able to find some seats pretty close to the stage.
Okay.
And a dwarf woman comes over and puts down your drinks, and she has brought a juice type thing for your daughter, a like watered down wine, basically.
Okay.
And then she says, "Well, is there anything else I can get you?"
Oh, well, we do need food.
Right. What would you like? We've got plenty to go around. Your wife. Your wife takes charge. She orders your usual.
Yes.
And pretty much usuals all around. They somewhat know you here.
Okay.
They at least know your name, and your family's name. And even though you don't recognize this dwarf woman, she knows what it is your wife wants. Mm-hmm. You eat and drink.
Cool.
We can end it here if you want.
I'm crying in an alleyway.
Okay. You are eating and drinking normally. Mm-hmm. Those two are drinking heavily. Well, that guy, Willenberg,
he's out.
Is out. He has been out for several hours with just that one sip.
Oh boy.
And you are crying in an alleyway.
Yep.